So, there's been a trend on my YouTube feed lately, and several chats I've been a part of. Everywhere I went, I would see this ash-purple raccoon with a bandana/scarf thing on in various memes, and people raving about how much they love them. I got curious and wanted to know who this little guy was. And, well, I got my answer. His name is Rambley the Raccoon, he's from a game called Indigo Park, and gosh darn it, I'm addicted! So this game has been taking the internet by storm, with many singing its high praises. And a few lows, but we'll get to that. The person we have to thank for bringing this game into existence is Unique Geese, or Mason, who got his start in game development by remaking Garden of Banban in 1 week. The results would show that many considered this incarnation of this meme game to be much better and more desirable than the original. Though, from my understanding, Geese doesn't consider it to be a dunk on Banban, nor meant to be a one-up of anything. Only that it was simply a fun little project to become more familiar with the world of game development. Respect, man. He expressed his interest in making his own mascot horror game after playing through several others in the genre. The result would be released on May 18th, 2024. Almost immediately, as stated previously, the game was a smash hit. Of course, the game isn't perfect by any means, and we'll be getting to that. But the overall consensus is that Indigo Park is a breath of fresh air in a genre of controversy, unoriginality, and disappointment. I decided to give the game a go myself on my dying laptop.
It's Rambley Tuesday, so you qualify for a big discount on your visit. Just follow me to the main gate. Ooh, I can't wait for you to see
Saturday,
everything
though.
Indigo Park has to offer.
It's Saturday though, Rambley. But thanks. I'll take a free offer when I get it. Yeah.
Do you know why Rambley the raccoon loves Rambley's Railroad? Because I like trains.
Me too, Rambley. Me too. Get me on. Yay. Oh. Oh, I've heard this before.
Oceanic Odyssey currently closed for repairs.
Oh boy. Oh my.
Now you know all about my friends and Lloyd.
I don't know why, that's just... I had a lot of fun, even if my computer couldn't handle the game at a few points. Also, the music just slaps, like, thanks for visiting Indigo Park, hope all your dreams came true. If you've got some time and you're up for a lark, stick around for the Rambley review. And the Rambley Express is just... Hi, this is Miles in post. I meant to add this into the script, but apparently I forgot, so I'll just say it here. When listening to the Rambley Express for the first time, I noticed that it sounded very similar to... and...
We're a great big rolling railroad, one that everybody knows. We were born of gold and silver spikes 100 years ago. We're a million miles of history, as shining in the sun. We're the Union Pacific, and our story's just begun.
And it makes me wonder if either of those played a part in the inspiration. Probably not. So, with all that being said, what about the criticism? Given this is Mason's second big project with game development, it's bound to have some flaws here and there. A few others have already taken it upon themselves to give a very in-depth analysis about what's good and bad about Indigo Park. The primary contenders I can think of off the top of my head is Dags and Glamrock Dusky. There's one more person, but I'll come back to him. While I said earlier that the general consensus is that the game is well beloved, just looking at the titles and thumbnails alone are enough to send any highly devoted and dedicated fanbase into a frenzy. I held my own opinions of the game after playing, and was intrigued to see what more in-depth aspects I possibly overlooked when I wanted to write all this out. So I did something that no fan has ever dared to go, sorta... not really. I watched the reviews, in full, albeit sped up because I had to go to bed for work. Yay! Capitalism! So, what did I gather? Well, the short version of the list is this, in watch order barring most repeat points. This is all constructive criticism that I feel is completely valid, though I still wish to mention a few points for further context and clarification to truly understand this game's development and the so-called finished product. 1. Mason has stated he was finishing up college when development of this game began, and was also looking for employment on top of that. Real-life issues which ate up time for game development. Lord, I know what that's like. 2. The game was working on a very limited budget with very limited resources, so it's not as fleshed out as Mason wished it could be. It's very important for me to stress that he has publicly expressed he wishes to go back and redo Chapter 1 once he has more time, resources, and funding. 3. This is Mason's second game as a game dev, as mentioned previously, with the first game being the, again, aforementioned Ban remake in a week. So, skill is not going to be his greatest tool here compared to other indie developers. Before I continue, here's a few thoughts of my own I have to these criticisms listed. The major one being, the way the flashlight is held is an actual way of holding a flashlight. It's mostly held like that by law enforcement, and it's called the power position. It allows for better horizontal control and also allows less flexing of the hand in uncomfortable ways when held at a low angle. Also, attack stance and all that. It's a position I've personally used on many occasions when I used to work on the train. It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say an urban explorer would also hold this flashlight in a similar position. The other thing I like to bring up is that Dags mentions in his video that he holds Indigo Park to a higher standard than something like Ban, which he mentions he defends. Because he can see the passion and effort that went into this project, and wants it to succeed. There's nothing inherently wrong with this. Though, if I may offer my 2 cents here, the criticisms feel a little bit harsh, and it felt he didn't have the underlying context mentioned previously, and treated the game as if it was a solid, defined, fully funded, finished product, rather than what I felt was more of an introductory preview / demonstration of bigger and better things to come. I don't know, maybe I'm completely overstepping my bounds here. Perhaps I'm speaking out of my rear, but hey, I'm just one person with an opinion on the internet. One positive thing I saw noted, though, and it's something that I would like to discuss myself, is the ending song. It's a banger, for sure, but it feels like an intentional nod to the self-awareness about the state of this project, and the small team behind it.
Were you satisfied with the rides?
Yes or no?
Were you satisfied with your guide?
I sure hope so.
Do you plan to come back? Will I see you again? Did your experience convince you to tell a friend about us? Did I earn your trust at Indigo Park?
They know it's not perfect, and might be severely rough around the edges, but they're willing to hear everyone out and improve on the game's future. In fact, Unique Geese has wholeheartedly taken into account these criticisms and has been actively working on updates for Chapter 1. And that is something that commands respect. Now, I told you there was a third person who gave criticisms for the game. That would be Rambley, but there's a reason I didn't bring him up in the previous points list. And the reason for that being, well, in short, his video marks our segue to another criticism video made about Indigo Park. You know who I'm talking about, so let's not beat around the bush. Theft King. Before I talk about him, though, let me briefly skim through Rambley's video. He mentions he didn't like Indigo Park and says it wasn't that good of a game, but he doesn't go into his points because, well, the main focus of his video was about Theft King's own criticisms, to which he says he, quote, agreed with 90% of his points, but disagreed with how they were presented, then proceeded to tear Theft King a new one. Or a 36th one? I don't know. So, we've reached the section of the video where I talk about the dreaded topic. Many have already deconstructed why his video, for lack of a better word, sucks. I hesitated talking about it in this video, as it feels like it's been beaten to death at this point, and he would end up making a follow-up video at the time of recording this 2.5 weeks ago. But, for the sake of example, consistency, and covering all the bases, we'll discuss it here. Instead of giving a verbal beatdown of Theft King or destroying him with facts and logic, I decided to try a different approach. I watched the video and split what was discussed in it into two different categories. What I was able to deem as valid criticism and everything else. I wanted to see where this experiment got me. So, after sitting through and filtering it all, here's what I got. After reeling for what felt like 2 hours, but in reality was likely some 30-odd minutes, I looked at what I had written down, and then I looked at the previous criticism lists, and I noticed something. Do you see it? Some of the criticisms listed are the exact same. So, why is it that this review is so hated? Why did it essentially become the laughingstock of the internet? Well...
Indigo Park is the least original mascot horror game ever made. You'd think that this was just another Garten of Banban-esque cash-in, and in a lot of ways, it kind of is.
Isaac Indigo! Hold on, that's not a name that humans have.
Where we're given a Faz
Isn't it that Minecraft
we had to jump
Rambley, I have some bad news for you. There are already 20 entries for you on the furry porn website. I am not joking.
One could say that it's because A, the game is well beloved and the fans hate to see bad things said about it, and B, it's Theft King and his past track record leaves a lot to be desired. Which I don't think either is completely unfair to say, but the main issue that most agree on is that it's the way the review is presented, as seen in the previous clips. The cruel jokes, the missed context, and the outright blatant ignorance, especially with comparisons to other franchises, and calling it a rip-off of said franchises. That's the most egregious aspect of this review many criticize Theft King of. The main issue it all boils down to is credibility. Because of the baseless points made in this video, it overshadowed any of the legitimate points he made. But even with those legitimate points, it all goes south when you say stuff like,
That was some voice acting.
Dude, after Rambley's amazing voice acting, these guys are like, hey, can you believe this? Mamma mia! It sounds like a joke.
and you treat it as if it's part of the main gameplay, when in reality, it's a side quest of sorts that's a direct reference to another fan project of another mascot horror, and a faithful reference at that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, our buddy's back. Animation!
Why, hello there, old sport.
Oh shit, what up,
Oh
Dave?
shit, what up, old sport?
I love that in this, like, we're going off the Vegas ending. We just, like, got done hanging out in Vegas and vibing, bro. I love it.
Welcome back, old sport.
Overall, the main takeaway for all of you watching this video is to remember to do your research, and remember to obtain the context for anything and everything, because not everything is objective. You can treat your review with objectiveness, of course. In fact, I wholeheartedly believe Theft King was being genuine about his feelings towards the game, and really meant no ill will. Why else would he go as far as to say,
However, I liked Indigo Park. It's a fun, hour-long haunted house ride with a great mascot character and some cool, albeit shallow, sequences. Furthermore, the game is free, so if you're at all interested in it after seeing this video, you have no excuse not to play it yourself. And if you like it, you should consider supporting the creator on Patreon so that they can make the ambitious sequel that they want to.
at the end of it all? But when you're just tearing apart the thing you're reviewing just for the sake of doing it without any basis, that's not a constructive review, and it benefits no one. So, what now? Well, while we wait for Chapter 2, the best thing I can say is to go support Unique Geese to help ensure Chapter 2, whether you like Chapter 1 or not, will be even better than the previous one. I wanted to support Chapter 2's Kickstarter, but my paycheck came in the day after they closed it, god freaking damn it. And if you're feeling creative, make some fan art or fan songs or fan whatevers to show your love for the game. I know I have. At Indigo Park. More than my remarks are mysteries. Even I don't know what we might find. But fight through the dark. And I'll be your spark of sunshine to get you out of any bind. Until all my old friends are united again, and I won't feel so left behind.
let you go. See you next time, buddy. Please.